Hey babes, and welcome to Gore Gossip. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Jordan, and this is your weekly deep dive into all things terrifying. True crime cases, cold-blooded killers, and the occasional creepy conspiracy.
Plus haunted dolls, cursed mirrors, and that one time your aunt swore her house was built on a portal to the underworld.
If it's bloody, bizarre, or just plain bone-chilling, we're talking about it.
And yes, we're bringing the gossip too, because what's a murder without a little side-eye?
So lock the doors, light a candle,
and let's get into it. I'm back, guys!
Yay!
By the time that you guys hear this one, you'll already have heard the one with, oh god, see, I just did it again. I just slammed my hand on the desk. I gotta take my hands off my desk. But anyway, by the time you guys are gonna hear this one, Danielle and Jordan's little episode about Arnie Johnson, not little, it's a good episode about Arnie Johnson, will have already been out, and I'm pretty excited for you guys to hear it. I know it's gonna be, you guys are gonna love it. It's great. I already watched it.
It was really fun to have her come in and fill in. I know you needed a little break, so I'm happy you got to
my daughter, we call her Bean for anybody who doesn't know. In social world, we call her Bean. She was sick last week while we were supposed to be recording that episode, and she just would not let me be without her. I had to sleep with her, so I had to go to bed early because she goes to bed at 8. So I was taking her up to bed at 8, and she would sleep in bed with me. We literally kicked Dag out of bed. He was sleeping on a blow-up mattress downstairs. So, but she's better now. She's fine. We have no idea what she had. No clue, but she's all good now. It's fine. And she's teething. So her 2 bottom teeth that were coming through, finally poked through now this week. So we're in a better place this week.
Good. I'm glad you guys are.
So let's get into it. I feel like we already started spooky season. We're talking about vampires, the Warrens, Arnie Johnson. So why not keep on that vibe and talk about something creepy, evil, and one of the scariest movies Hollywood has ever seen. It was banned in several countries, with audience members fainting while others rushed to confession after seeing it, and creating rumors of a deadly curse. I'm talking about a head-spinning pea soup nightmare. That's right. We're talking about the 1973 film, The Exorcist, the curse, and the story that inspired it all.
I love this so much.
This was a surprise for Jordan. She had no idea until she came into this and clicked on what I was open on already. And she was like, what the heck?
I love horror movies. And this movie, while what they did now looks so old, so run down, all of the physical effects and everything, I still think is one of the creepiest because of this lore. And
So I have a
of this.
confession.
Nicole.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. This is one of those movies that I've never seen the full thing. Actually sat down and watched the full thing.
Nicole.
I'm gonna get so much hate for that. I already know. And everybody's gonna be like, and you're the one covering it? I know enough. I know enough. I swear.
You've seen the scenes probably on social media that are the scariest.
Yeah, I mean, you already know everything that there is to know about this. I mean, at this day and age, and I've seen parts, and I don't think I've ever just actually sit down and watch the entire thing. Oh, on that topic of watching something that I've never watched before that I should have, I started True Blood. You guys will be proud of me. I started True Blood the other day, and I actually had to stop watching it because I was trying to write this, and I was like, I'm getting too distracted. This is taking too long, and I had to turn it off.
It's addicting. True Blood is addicting.
It was so good. Oh, also, talking about writing this, I want you guys to know that I was writing this, finishing it up, last night, editing some things and stuff, and I stayed up really late to do it, and it became 3 o'clock in the morning, and I looked, and I was like, all of a sudden, I got spooky ooky, and I was like, I'm not doing this at 3 o'clock. And I closed my computer, and I was like, maybe if I'm still awake at 4 o'clock, I'll do this. And I didn't pick up back my laptop. I
What?
got like freaked out because I was like, I should not be doing this at 3 a.m. right now. Like, I'm not doing
No.
this. So I just
It
closed my computer. And then when being napped earlier today, I like finished editing what I needed to edit. And that was it. It was so funny. I was like, I just have to tell you about that.
like, I can't deal with the witching hour right now
No,
with this
you
story.
know,
Like,
I was like, not with this one, not with this one. Anyway, so the Exorcist film was considered a cultural movement and changed the way horror genre would produce movies going further. I mean, we see that now with, all of the Conjuring. Like, we've covered that whole series. Just honestly, the whole genre in general is not what it used to be, because prior to The Exorcist, horror movies were like kind of scary, but like not really. Effects weren't really like grand like they were. I mean, there's some acclaimed from, like, I shouldn't say acclaimed, but like there's some really good things that came out of prior, but like not to the degree of which The Exorcist was, especially for the 70s.
oh my god, no, the practical effects that they used, like,
Yeah,
the pea soup the pea soup, dude, was the best idea.
yeah.
Whoever came up with that needs the big bucks.
Right. So the innovation of those special effects used on this movie to make it feel real, mixed with great marketing and a true story, gave The Exorcist an edge that made it feel extremely scary and realistic to its viewers. There are stories of people leaving the theater early because it was too scary, going to confession, or even people allegedly passing out or falling ill. Like, there's reports of like people apparently like going to the hospital after and like getting sick and stuff from like seeing this movie.
Oh
It
my god.
was considered so scary that it was banned in a few countries. The UK banned even the release of like at-home sales, like, like VCRs back then, until the 1990s. So like, Ireland, I think, banned it until like 1998 or something like that, and I think England was like a few years prior to that. Yeah,
What? That's
crazy.
insane. To have
I
a
know.
whole country ban it?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, now you have to watch it, Nicole. You
I
have
know.
to.
I know. But it wasn't just the movie itself that scared people. It was the fact that not only did the producers of this film base it off of a true story, it was said to be cursed. But was it really cursed? And how true is the story behind the horror film? So let's start with the story that started all. We're going to get to the curse, don't worry. We're going to talk about it, we're going to discuss it. But let's start with the story that started it all. So technically, The Exorcist is based off of a book called The Exorcist, of an actual exorcism that took place in Cottage City, Maryland in 1949. The book, I also saw somewhere that it's at Silver Springs, and I know I lived in Maryland, so I'm sorry, Marylanders, but I don't know which one it was, so I'm going to say it was Cottage City. If I'm wrong, don't come for me. The book, The Exorcist, was published in 1971, so just a few years prior to the movie coming out, and written by William Peter Blatty. I'll come back to the book in a few. I touch on it a little bit later. He was just really inspired, essentially, by this story, and also another um, exorcism kind of thing that took place. I forget where, with nuns. Um, it's like it's a real famous one that inspired another scary movie, but everything is escaping me right now. It's late, so I can't remember. It's like Luden something, the Luden case or whatever it is. I can't remember. I definitely should have wrote that in here, but I didn't. That's my like MO, is like I forgetting to put something in here that I probably should have.
It's okay.
But the real story that started it all started with a 14-year-old boy named Ronald Doe, or also known as sometimes as Robbie Mannheim. Since he was a minor, they used a pseudonym was given to him to kind of protect his identity. We do know his real name now. There are some reports. There's one person who said that he like knows who the real person is, but he wouldn't say the name to protect the fact that he was a kid at the time. But since then, we've had other reports come out, and this guy himself has said, um, before he passed, that it was him. His name was Ronald Edwin Hunkler.
Hmm.
I think that's how you say his last name. I tried to phonetically look it up. I'm pretty sure it's Hunkler. He grew up in a German Lutheran family in Maryland. By some accounts, he was a shy and quiet kid. He was rather close to his considered spiritualistic Aunt Harriet, who, when he expressed interest in it, bought him a Ouija board. Now,
Oh,
I Ouija boards and I are not a thing. You will never catch me ever ever using one. They are an absolute hard no. Like, that is a red line for me. I refuse. We've discussed before, like, how big of a believer I am of like spirits and like demonic or not, like that whole thing. We've talked about it, you as well. Like,
mhm.
it's a hard no for me because you just don't know. You don't
You
know.
don't
There are
know.
tricksters. You just don't know what you are opening yourself up to.
I am
I
so,
won't do
like,
it.
just, like, flabbergasted that the spiritual aunt gave him it. Like, I'm a spooky
She,
aunt,
like,
but
showed him how to use it and
I would
everything, and
never do that to my nieces and nephew.
you know
I would
what? It was a
never.
different time. People, like, I hate to say that. I feel like it's such a cop-out answer, but it really was. Like,
Yeah,
I think people just really thought differently back then, And
yeah,
I don't know, I guess back then she thought it was okay, and there's still people who think it's okay now, and there's people that think it's, "Oh, it's just a toy, it's not gonna do anything," and, like, I don't wanna take that chance, you know what I mean? Like, even if it is just a toy, even if it is just fake, not
no,
chancing it.
no, 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 no,
But it
no.
wasn't him using the Ouija board that was the catalyst of this, it was the sudden passing of his aunt. I couldn't find anything on her passing, which of course leaves a lot to the imagination, especially for somebody like me who is immediately going to think it has something to do with the Ouija board. But in all honesty, the family just kind of seemed private, and it was probably that it just wasn't considered a connection, which makes sense.
Yeah,
So it wasn't considered like mysterious or anything. It just seemed she passed from whatever circumstances, and that was it. It's also the 40s. Not a lot of information in the 40s all the time, you
right.
know.
Uh,
But after she had passed away was when the paranormal activity had started. Ronald, so I'm going to use his real name because says this is who has been claimed now that it is him. He has apparently talked about it. So he claimed that he could hear at the time, he could hear scratching in the walls and the floors at night, water dripping in pipes and walls where and when it shouldn't have been, and his mattress moving at night. He even claimed objects would fly and levitate in the house. But it wasn't just noises and objects flying that had the Hunkler family looking for help. They started finding deep scratches on Ronald's body. His parents, Edwin and Odell, had turned to doctors and psychiatrists for help, but they were given no answers. The Hunklers turned to their Lutheran minister, who suggested they seek the help of the Jesuits. If you don't know who the Jesuits are, it's essentially Roman Catholics. It's a Roman Catholic order of priests originally created for missionary work a very, very, very long time ago, like 1600s, kind of long time ago. Um, they have been banned countless times throughout history for a variety of reasons, but we won't get into that. They're a bit hardcore in a very specific kind of sense. They still exist today. They still pop up all over the world. But that's a story. That's a whole other thing. There were multiple priests involved throughout this process, but the first exorcism that took place was done by Father E. Albert Hughes in March of 1949. He asked the superiors for permission, and they granted it, which is a little crazy when you think about it, because I've always heard that it's really hard to get permission for an exorcism, and that like there's a very specific process that you have to go through. But then you hear stories of them just like happening all the time. So it's really interesting to see that kind of conflict here. And Dag and I actually had this conversation last night because he also didn't know that I was working on this. I just kind of surprised everybody with the fact that I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And he was like, "Aren't they, like, supposed to be like, this is what you hear, like, and you of course, like, this is what you hear in movies," but I was like, "Yeah, but there's, like, some legitimacy to that, like, to the fact of, like, there's a process here." I'll touch on it again in a minute, but, like, I just this is a rant that I have when we talk about exorcisms, is that I don't understand why they're just happening willy-nilly all the time,
I
and I'll
agree.
touch on it again in a minute, like, towards the well, not a minute, I'll touch on it towards the end a little bit. But Father Hughes claimed that he had to stop the rite before it was actually completed because Ronald had not only been practically seizing on the bed that he was strapped down to, he apparently ripped off a piece of the mattress spring and slashed at the father with it. Pause. This confused the shit out of me for a second
Yeah.
because what do you mean a mattress spring? Like inside the mattress? Like was there like a hole in the mattress? Did he rip
There
through the
had to
mattress
be.
and pull it? Or are you talking about like it being a metal bed frame and there being springs under it? Because if you think about like old beds or you know, that was something that you would see was like metal, you know, the metal springs on the
Yeah.
bed frame. Are you talking about that? Like I was really confused when I read that. But apparently that's what he said.
I'm
So
also
he
really
chose to just
confused.
end the session, leave it incomplete, and leave. That was it. And of course, that couldn't have been good because when have you ever heard of an incomplete exorcism being good?
Never.
It
It's
wasn't.
always bad.
Yeah, it wasn't because a few days later, apparently the family found the word Lewis scratched onto or, no, Louis, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get shit for this in a second. I'm sorry. Scratched onto Ronald, like on his chest or something. For some reason, this led his mom, Odell, to believe she needed to take him to St. Louis. This is where I said I was going to get shit because I said St. Louis. They call it St. Louis.
I heard St. Louis my whole life.
Okay, I'll go with both. Where they had family. They had family here. So they had family in St. Louis, whatever you want to go with. A family member, they go there. She brings him there, right? A family member there put them in touch with Father Raymond Bishop, who was a professor at St. Louis University. So this family member knew Professor Bishop, Father Bishop, whatever you want to call him, and went there and talked to him and said, "Hey, I have this family member who might be possessed. Can you help us?" And Father Bishop had absolutely no experience with exorcisms or anything related to the matter. So he turned to the president of the university, who was also a priest. There's a lot of priests at this university. I don't know if I missed something, but there's a lot. Her, but he asked him for advice, who suggested he just go and bless the home Ronald was staying in while there, which is honestly pretty solid advice because if you don't have any experience with exorcisms, you have no business doing one, in my opinion. And going to bless the home is a good first, step.
That's a
So the
good
father
step.
did that. Father Bishop did this. And he claimed that when he got there, Ronald, or as he knew him then as Robbie, because I'll mention this again in a second, but Father Bishop kept diaries of the interactions, the exorcisms of he called him Robbie, so of Robbie.
Okay.
But the bed started shaking until he sprinkled holy water on it, and then it stopped. So with this, Father Bishop didn't know what to do, so he turned to a longtime friend for help. And here's where we enter Reverend William Bowdern. And if you've heard of this case, you know his name, and he will refer to him as Father Bowdern. He was the priest of the Church of SLU. So he, you know, was there. They knew each other, they were friends. So he asked him, can you help? And he had seen Father Bowden had seen some horrors in his time while he traveled overseas as a chaplain. So maybe he could help, but he also had no experience with exorcisms at all. So even though he's like seen some things, he's never had experience with an exorcism. But the two of them decide they're going to give it a go anyway, and they're going to go talk to the Archbishop of the St. Louis chapter and get permission from him. And they did. They got permission from him. He said, yeah, go ahead and do it. But keep it on the DL. Don't let anybody know what's happening. Act like everything's normal. Go ahead and do it.
What?
I'm gonna repeat that in a minute. So like just hang on to that, but I'm gonna repeat that again in a minute. So he said, follow the rite of exorcism, which has been around since the 1600s. Like that is what you use to do an exorcism, essentially. The night the pair went to do their first exorcism on Ronald, Father Bowden asked his driver, who was also a priest named Father Halloran, to come in with them because they'd probably need help and it was going to be a while. This man was shocked and was just like, sure. And he dutifully did as he was asked and went inside and helped. Over the next several weeks, over 20 to 30 exorcisms took place, first at the house that he was staying at, then some on the SLU campus, and finally at the Alexian Brothers Hospital. This is one of those diary entries that I had mentioned before from Father Bishop regarding the exorcisms. He labels this March 18th, 1949. The prayers of the exorcism were continued, and Robbie was seized violently, so he began to struggle with his pillow and the bed clothing. The contortions revealed physical strength beyond natural power. Robbie spit at the faces of those who prayed over him. He spit at the relics in the priest's hands. He writhed under the sprinkling of holy water. He fought and screamed in a diabolical high-pitched voice. So it sounds like your average exorcism, right?
Sounds insane. And this
Yeah, no,
happened
it
20
does.
times?
Yeah, it's happened 20 to 30 times this took place
Holy to this
over the
one
span
boy.
to this one boy over the span of like basically a month.
That's like multiple exorcisms a day.
Yeah,
I could cry right now. That's so
yeah,
fucked.
yeah.
Sorry, that's so messed
No,
up.
no, it definitely is. It's so fucked. And like he went to this hospital, the Alexian Brothers Hospital, like for care. I'm assuming because during this time all of this is happening, he's probably experiencing some issues, like so that he went to this hospital for care so this way they could help kind of keep him in one area, have him watched and controlled. And during the day he was perfectly fine. Ronald, he was perfectly fine. Like they had no issues. And then nighttime would come and it would just like they said it would just like take over him. So they would do these exorcisms at night, like when he would start to like have whatever this possession come out. This is when he would like they would go and do the exorcisms because he was perfectly fine during the day.
Hmm.
There's a claim that scratch marks appeared on his chest one night that looked to say the word hell. They don't know for sure. I don't know for sure about that, but they said that the scratch marks looked like they spelled out the word hell. And this isn't the first time. His mom said that there was like some other. So not only was that Lewis or Louis, however you want to say it, one apparently after that, what made her really want to go was that after that, like a report said that apparently he had like 3.5 on his chest or something like that. So like 3.5 weeks was like how long they were supposed to be there for something like that. After countless sessions through multiple weeks, finally on April 18th, 1949, the last exorcism happened. So like I said, this is about a month long of exorcisms. According to Father Bishop's diary, Robbie, as he knew him, started speaking in a different voice than normal during the sessions, saying, I'm going to repeat what he said, Satan, Satan, I am Saint Michael, and I command you, Satan, and the other evil spirits to leave the body in the name of Dominus? Yeah. Immediately. Now, now, now. And then when Robbie came to, he said, he's just gone. He's gone. And that was it. That was it. So, like, they're doing their exorcism. All of a sudden, this voice comes through, says that. And then Robbie, like, basically passes back out and then comes to and says, he's gone, and relaxes. And that's it. That's it. That was how it ended. A
What?
month long of exorcisms.
Just ended with this random voice inside of him?
Yeah, saying that it was a Saint Michael that was like came and basically like saved him.
I am flabbergasted. Not
Mm-hmm.
only is this poor boy probably exhausted, because exorcisms can go on for a very long time.
Yeah.
I'm so flabbergasted
It's
right
not
now.
unheard of for it to take this long for an exorcism or for a priest to do that many. I have seen other reports of other exorcisms, none that I can like name off the top of my head right now, but I have seen, a few others talk about that before, where it has taken quite some time. You see the person deteriorate, become ill, and then randomly one day it just works and they're better.
God.
Also during this time, so like I had mentioned earlier, the president of SLU and the archbishop told the priest to keep this whole situation on the DL. So it wasn't just the archbishop who told the priest to keep it on the DL. The president also told them of the school, told them like, hey, don't let anybody know this is happening. Act like everything is going about normal. Don't, let anybody allude to anything because it wasn't sanctioned properly. There was no investigation done. There's no investigation done on this. So like like I mentioned, there's supposed to be like a process. So like there's supposed to be an investigation that the diocese like do to like determine whether or not they're going to move forward. And most of the time for an actual exorcism to take place, you need the approval of the Vatican, which is what I've always thought. But I saw something yesterday when I was like re-looking at it that I guess the rules have changed, but I didn't understand like exactly what it like was saying. I don't know. That's always what I've like thought. That's always what I've heard.
That's what
And
I heard
like,
too. That's
yeah.
so strange to
And
just
not just from movies. Like I've like this is like what I've like truly heard is that like you're supposed to have like the Vatican's approval. It's supposed to be an approved process. And this like was not approved. I'll touch on it again a little bit later, but like essentially just reiterating what I say just from the words of somebody else. But this is like what I've heard. Also, completely random, apparently Dr. Frank Bubb, who is a part of, I know you're like, who the heck is that? He was one of the scientists who was a part of the Manhattan Project that created the atomic bomb years prior to this. He apparently got wind of what was going on and he was like really fascinated by the paranormal because he was a scientist and like into like electromagnetic fields and like mathematics and all of that stuff. He thought that he could just like kind of like explain it and like the moving objects and say like, oh, like show them how it could be like the electromagnetism like taking place. Allegedly, he went there. He was able to go to the house, and when he was there, objects like furniture started moving on their own. And this man was apparently like, this isn't my job. This isn't for me. This is not my field, and just left.
the same for me, dog.
Like,
I'm
closed
out.
his notebook and was just like, this isn't my field. And he left. I don't know how true that is, but I just saw it in like one of the reports that I was reading. And I was like, oh, I gotta mention this because that's really funny. And
That
like,
is
that's so
hilarious.
random that like one of the guys from the Manhattan Project was like, I live nearby and I heard about this thing going on with like an exorcism and I want to check it out. And then was
That's
just like,
crazy.
never mind, like, and just up and left. That was crazy. Just a quick side note there. I had to throw that in there. But where did get out about the exorcisms, and news articles about it came out. And of course, Ronald's identity was still hidden. He was still either referred to as Roland or Robbie. And this created some serious lore from Maryland and St. Louis or Louis, whatever you want to say. Either one, I don't know, I'm sorry. But Ronald, he just moved on with his life. He actually went to work at NASA as an engineer. Isn't that crazy? I was not expecting. So I found um him on findagrave.com. Like when I saw that like his name get mentioned in a couple of the papers that I was reading, I was like, oh, I got to look this guy up. So I looked him up and I found him on findagrave.com, and it talks about how like he has said that he was the boy in this, and he just when then it talks about how he went on to work at NASA for 40 years and he retired in 2001. And he apparently was like, he didn't talk about it much because he was worried about people finding out when The Exorcist came out that it was about him, and he was constantly worried about being found out, and he just wanted to like work. He didn't want anybody at work to like mention it or something to happen at work, or he didn't want people to follow him or start to like invade his privacy, so he just didn't really talk about it. And he just wanted a quiet life, and I totally get that. Because like this was something that happened to him as a boy. You know what I mean? And now like you're a full grown adult in the 70s, and now a movie and a book have come out about you, essentially, and you just don't want to be involved, and I totally understand. Ronald unfortunately died in 2020 at the age of 85 due to a stroke. So he's no longer here with us. Unfortunately, he passed away. But he did talk about it, I think, as he got older, because this obviously came out that it was him at some point. Of course, over the years, there's been some discourse into legitimacy of what was said to have happened in those exorcisms. Like I had mentioned, I found Ronald on findagrave.com, and there's a mention from one of his or from his longtime companion where they said that Ronald had claimed he was never possessed and he was just a bad boy. I swear to God, that was what was written. He said he was just a bad boy. And I was like,
Just a
that kind of
bad
gave
boy?
me the
Are
ick.
you serious? I'm just a bad boy.
I put bad boy in quotes because that's what it said, but like it gave me the ick a little bit, and I'm sure that was not how it was meant, but I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like that one.
It's a little icky.
Author and distinguished research professor Henry Ansgar Kelly had wrote about his interview with Father Bowdern in his book, The Devil, Demonology, and Witchcraft, where Father Bowdern didn't really back up the validity of what happened either. He basically said Henry like asked him about everything, and like he told like, you know, in usual like um interviewee fashion, the interviewer he like retold the story basically to him, and Father Bounder basically turned around and was like, who told you those silly stories? Like that's what he basically responded with. And Henry was like, oh, I didn't want to say it was your brother, but like it was his, you know,
It was
came
your
from his
brother.
brother. Like his brother told me this, but he didn't say anything. He was just like, yeah. He Father Bowden basically admitted that he was out of his depth, and it was irresponsible for the Archdiocese of St. Louis to give permission to conduct an exorcism when there wasn't even a proper investigation done. See? So this is what I was talking about before, is that there was supposed to be a proper investigation and a decision made on whether or not this was possession and he needed to be exorcised, and that was not done. So yeah, it was irresponsible, in my opinion. And then you have Father Halloran. You remember the guy that was the driver who got pulled into this?
Yeah.
He was quoted at one time saying he wouldn't even go on record saying it was legit because he wasn't even sure that it was, and he was in the room.
Huh.
He was in the room, and he said that he would never go on record to say that it was legit.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
A little
But
sussy.
what about Father, yeah, exactly. Father Bishop's diary? Did he exaggerate what happened? Or was he just like scared of like the situation as well. He also didn't know what was happening and just reported what he thought was happening. I don't know, but,
Hmm.
like, there's way more of, like, the diary, and you can find some of it online. Some of it you can't, some of it you can, but that one expert is, like, readily available, but there's apparently more on the diary. Um,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, you know?
I don't either. I don't know.
Yeah. However, what we do know from this is that what was written in the Exorcist book and shown in the movie was very exaggerated. The author William Blatty allegedly claimed that he spoke with Father Bowdern, and that basically he said that basically everything but the head spinning happened, and that when he spoke with Father Bowdern, that he had asked for privacy to change the child from boy to girl, so that way, like, it wasn't so based on the story. And there's a couple other things that he had asked to be changed, and William did that. He changed. Blatley did that. He changed those things. But the fact is, it's just not true.
Mm.
It's just not true. I mean, we don't know if he really spoke with Father Bowdern. Henry and Scar Kelly, that I was just talking about, said that he's the only one that Father Bowdern has given a legitimate interview for, like, on record, like an on record interview. So, like, we don't know if what William Bladley said was true. Like, we don't know if he really spoke with him. He probably did. He might have, but it wasn't on record. So we don't know what they actually discussed.
Oh my God.
So we don't know if Father Bowdern just, like, told him some things that happened, and then Blatley just, like, ran with it. And then he said, yeah, all of this happened, except for the hat spinning. And but we don't, and we also just don't know the legitimacy to, like, any of these claims at all. We just don't. But this isn't the end of our story, guys. We still have the curse. Remember I mentioned a curse? We're going to talk
Yes.
about that too right now. The Exorcist movie not only provided on screen horror, but off screen as well. There was a series of tragic accidents, injuries, and deaths that happened right before and after production. The first incident that occurred was one night a fire randomly broke out on the set. It was 2:30 a.m. on a Sunday. Only one security guard was around, and the fire tore through the set, destroying it all, except for one room. So their main set, like, was in New York. That was where they mainly filmed. They also had a set in Georgetown that they would use. That's where, like, that the house that you actually see, that's where that was. But they had, like, the inside and everything in the main set in New York. So the whole set was destroyed except for one room. That room was Reagan's room,
Oh.
where all of the exorcisms took place.
Ah.
It turned out this mysterious fire was due to a bad electrical circuit, and that set was rebuilt. It took 6 weeks to do this. So their filming was shut down for 6 weeks. And once the new set was up and ready to go, the sprinkler system broke, causing another 2 week shutdown on set. The
Cancel the film.
actor, yeah,
Cancel the
right?
film. No.
Immediately I would
No.
have been like, I'm not doing this. I'm
No.
not doing this.
No.
The actor who played Father Marin, Max von Sydow, got a call that his brother had passed away in Sweden just as his flight landed in New York for filming. So he was just getting there to start filming, and he got a call that his brother passed away.
Dude,
And then
what?
later during filming, Max himself became ill. He was fine, but he got sick later during filming. Two of the actors, unfortunately, who died in the film actually died before the movie was even released. Jack McGowan, who played Burke Dennings, died 1 week after his character was killed in the movie. 1 week. So they filmed his scene, and then a week later he died. He passed from complications of the flu. Apparently there was a London flu epidemic, and he caught the flu and had complications and passed away.
Dude, no.
I'm about to butcher this poor woman's name. I had phonetic spelling. I still can't say it. It's a Greek name. I'm really, really sorry. Vasiliki Malaros. I'm sorry, she was a really Greek woman. She was the woman who played Father Damien Karras's mother. She died of natural causes. Interesting note about her was that she wasn't an actress at all. She was actually just plucked from a New York City restaurant by the filmmaker William Friedkin. She was just an elderly Greek lady whose presence just impressed him, and he wanted her in the movie, so she did it. And so she played Father Karras's daughter, or I'm sorry, not daughter, mother. Oh my God, she was an old woman. She was like in her 80s or something. So I mean, it's very believable that she just happened to have, like, for that one to have been very coincidental, and she just passed from natural
I don't know.
causes.
That's not coincidental. That's not coincidental to me. No.
While nothing happened to Jason Miller, who played Father Karras directly, his son Jordan was struck by a motorcyclist who appeared seemingly out of nowhere on a basically empty beach. Jordan sustained, I know, right? I saw that and I was like, what do you mean?
On a
So
beach?
yeah, on a beach, he just was like struck by a motorcyclist. Um, Jordan had sustained major injuries and nearly died from the incident. He did recover, but it was some serious. It was bad. Ellen Burstyn, who played, I know this is a lot. We're not even halfway done, dude. We're not even halfway done with what happened.
Oh my God.
Ellen Burstyn, who played Chris McNeil, got hurt on set during the filming of a possession scene where she gets slapped. She hurt her back like really bad, and it caused a delay in production. And as Ellen needed to take time off to rest because of it, and she still suffered from like pain like long after. Linda Blair, who played Regan, so the girl who played Regan herself, also injured her back during the filming of a possession scene. From what I saw, it was like a scene where she gets like thrown across the room or something. And I guess the way it happened, she also got injured. That's not unbelievable, guys, for like
No.
that to like randomly happen. I mean, when you have scenes like that, like action scenes, actors get hurt all the time during stuff like that. So that's not unbelievable
And
that that
especially
happened.
with like the 70s when it was filmed, like you don't have all of
Yeah, there's
the
not as much
standard.
safety
Yeah.
as there is nowadays. And I can imagine in action films back there,
Yeah.
actors and even like their their stunt doubles, I mean, probably got hurt all the time. People still do. I mean, there's a lot more safety precautions now. It's
Yeah.
just those two things happening on top of everything else. It's really sketchy. But not only was it the actors who got hurt or passed away, the crew did too. A carpenter cut off his thumb,
What?
and I didn't understand this. A lighting technician lost a toe. I don't
What
understand.
were you doing with your toe? How did you lose your toe?
I don't understand. I don't know what happened. A night watchman also reportedly died during the filming. This isn't even the end, though, my dudes. When they went to film in Iraq, I didn't know that they filmed in Iraq. This is how I found out. The trip itself got delayed an entire month. I don't remember seeing exactly what it was that caused it, but the trip got delayed. So they were supposed to go in June when it was like relatively cooler, and then they got delayed. So they ended up going there in July when it was blazing hot out. Out of the 18-man crew that was sent there for filming, about half of them had something happen to them, like
Well,
dysentery, heat stroke, you name it, shit was happening to them, and they had to leave at one time or another because of it. On top of it, on top of it, a statue of the demon Pazuzu got lost in an air shipment from LA and ended up in Hong Kong. This
what?
caused another 2-week delay.
What the fuck?
Outrageous. That's an outrageous amount of accidents and death to happen to people just related to this set on on the movie set. So like, because it wasn't even just people that like were on the set; it was people related to the people on the set that shit was happening to.
Cancel this film.
I think it's pretty fair to claim it was cursed. Ellen in an interview had said, I don't know if it was a jinx really, but there was some really strange going on during the making of the film. We were dealing with some really heavy material, and you don't fool around with that kind of material without it manifesting in some way. There were many deaths on the film. Linda's grandfather died. The assistant cameraman's wife had a baby that died. The man who refrigerated the set died. The janitor who took care of the building was shot and killed. I think overall there were 9 deaths during the course of the film, which is an incredible amount. It was scary. That's what she said. That was all from Ellen.
Um, okay. I love that she mentioned that like they were dealing with heavy things, so it like manifested itself. Like I
Yeah.
believe that fully.
So there was not only like deaths that occurred, all of those deaths occurred, but Paul Bateson, who was also included and involved in that film, was convicted of murder.
Stop right now.
So, like, you not only have people who are killed, just died from whatever cause, there's a person that was involved in this movie who also was convicted of murder.
That goes back to my point though, when you manifest like bad energy and bad vibes, that it has to go somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to go somewhere. It doesn't stop when the cameras yell cut.
Yep. Yeah. It's crazy. It got so bad that William Friedkin brought in an actual priest to the set. He was like, I've had enough. And he asked this priest to give an actual exorcism to the set. And the priest, thank God for this priest, he said, I can't do that, but I can bless everyone and the set for you. Thank
Good.
God. Somebody had some sense here.
Don't do
He
any
was like,
unauthorized exorcisms.
yeah, yep, yeah. So he did that. He blessed everybody and the set and everybody that was involved with making it. And according to Max von Sydow, who he's the guy whose brother died as soon as he started filming, he said that after the blessing, nothing else on set happened. But at the same time, a fire happened to the Georgetown set. So remember, I said they were in New York. That was their main set. But they also had a set in Georgetown where the house was that they used for, like the house that was in the movie. That's where the house was. So there was a fire apparently at the Georgetown set that happened at the same time as this blessing. But I think that's way too coincidental. I
Way
think
too.
it's way too coincidental. I believe in coincidences, but I don't believe in that many coincidences happening.
That's like
Once
what,
once
17?
something, yeah, probably like 20. I don't even know.
My God.
Obviously, a movie about an exorcism based on the story of a real life exorcism is going to be shrouded in religious tones and cause a lot of backlash, and a lot of things are going to happen. We've seen it with The Conjuring as well in recent times. Religious groups, sorry, I thought I saw a weird light. Religious groups protested the movie, like literally picketing outside of the movie set, like outside the movies, like outside the theaters. They were pretty upset, and honestly, a part of me kind of understands why.
Mhm.
When demonic possession is something that's serious to you and very scary to you, I can understand a movie like this that would upset you, and especially if it feels like almost like a making fun of it type, because when you really watch that movie, especially now, I mean, you watch that movie now and it feels more like, I don't feel like it feels scary. You know what I mean? We've had a discussion about how like I can be really hard on scary movies sometimes, and this is one of those where I feel like really hard about it, but I understand for like the time, you know, why it was so scary. But I can also understand why this would upset people. Churches, like priests at churches, were literally telling people like not to go see it, but of course that just made people want to go see it even more. They were like,
Right.
what are you talking about? Like, I want to know what you're talking about. So they're going to want to go. It's like watching a train wreck. You can't stop it. You can't stop. You
Yeah.
can't look away. But this was also during a time of satanic panic. This was like basically the beginning of satanic panic. So literally everything upset these people. Like everything upset religious groups.
Yes.
It didn't matter what it is. You could just wear a black top and jeans and people would point at you and say like which you're Satan follower. Like you could do something slightly out of the ordinary and people would be claiming Satan. Like anything would upset them. So I think it's fair to kind of at the same time be like, shh, quiet, move on.
Yeah.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
But I also understand. I do understand. This is a very heavy topic and it does need to be handled appropriately. And it is something that I feel you do need to take seriously in film because it's something that people feel is very real. And if this is something that you truly believe in, it's scary.
Mm.
And now you're messing around within a movie. I don't even how they just like connected this in my brain, but this reminds me of like The Craft, and how there's a lot of stuff with The Craft, and maybe that's something that we'll cover at some point as like a little like weird things that happened in movies. Maybe we'll cover that at some point. But it reminds me of The Craft and how there's a lot of weird things that went on with that set and how it was very serious and how it needed to be handled very appropriately. And this is kind of that feel.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I
Let's do that. That's actually a really good idea.
yeah, I also forgot to mention that there was rumors even, and a lot of people believed it to be true, and some people still believe that to this day, that Friedkin used audio from an actual exorcism in the movie. Yeah, so people think that there's parts of the audio that are from an actual exorcism. And in an interview, he did admit that not to that, but he did admit that he did have in his possession an actual recording on cassette tape of an exorcism performed in Rome in Italian on a 14-year-old boy. And he said he didn't use it in the film audio, but he did use it to help emulate the demon in the soundtrack.
No. No.
So he says he didn't use it in the film. It's not in the film. It's not in the audio of the film at all. He just used it to like help figure out what the demon should sound like in the soundtrack.
That's still sketchy to me. Sorry.
I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I don't believe it. It's too sketchy.
You don't?
I don't believe him. I don't believe him. I think he did it. I think he used it.
He probably did because you need to watch it and tell me. Actually, I'll send you the clip of where I think it is.
It's probably the one that I think everybody talks about. I don't know if there's probably a big chance that I have listened to it already or have seen it, but send it to me anyway and
I
I'll check
will.
it out. But yeah, there's people that like to this day strongly believe this. And I don't know, this guy's a little sketchy. Like me, I feel like he would do it and then later say that he didn't do it.
He's kind of weird. Not
Yeah,
gonna
I
lie.
mean,
In
you
my
got to be a little
opinion.
weird to make movies like this. I mean, but that's just like, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that as like a bad thing.
No.
I'm just saying you got to be a little weird to make
Just
movies
gotta
like
be a
this
little
sometimes.
freaky. Gotta be a little weird.
Even with being shrouded in half truths and rumors, The Exorcist and the story it's based off of still stand the test of time. People still gossip about the rumors and what's true or not. People still love the movie, the book. They love the story. I mean, it's got a lot of weight to it. I mean, and here we are right now discussing these
Yeah.
rumors. People, and talking about it and gossiping about it and what's true and what's not true. So, of course, I have to ask, do you believe Ronald was actually possessed, or was he just a grieving kid acting out? And do you believe the curse, or was it just a series of unfortunate events?
Nicole.
I
Okay.
gotta ask, I gotta know.
I, for one, believe in the curse. There's too many things surrounding it. And like I said, with the bad energy, That energy has to go somewhere. And it's not going to just end when you say, turn off the cameras,
Yeah.
turn off the mics.
Yeah.
The Ronald possession freaks me out because I would hope that his parents would have stepped in if he actually wasn't and he was just acting out.
We have seen, though, I mean, when in the Arnie Johnson case, the boy that originally was possessed, his name is David, right? I don't
Yeah.
know why I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah.
We have seen, parents coercion, him be coerced and start acting out because he's a boy. And I'm not saying like, he's a boy. I'm saying like he's a child,
Yeah.
And doesn't know better and just acts out and does things that, for attention.
But 30 exorcisms.
That's a lot.
30.
Yeah. I know.
Ugh.
I think it's all too coincidental for me on the curse front for all of those bad things to just happen around that same time. Was it exactly like a curse per se? That I don't know. I feel like a curse is very specific, and when you really think about it. But do I think that what they were doing in the movie itself caused some bad things to happen? Yeah, I do think that. I definitely think that something otherworldly was definitely making its presence known throughout that process and was definitely making it difficult for them. And I do think that, whether it was known or unknown, I think they invited something in and it was, wreaking havoc for sure. For sure. Until that priest apparently came and blessed it. But again, I don't know. I mean, sometimes things happen. I mean,
Oh.
Heath Ledger, oh God, what movie was it on? Drawing a blank, but there was like a bunch of bad things that happened. It was around that time. Like, we've seen it happen. I mean, there's also the Macbeth curse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like bad things just happen sometimes when on certain movie sets, and it's nothing like particular. It just movies, shows. I mean, Macbeth is a play. You know what I mean? Like, we see it happen, but I still think it was a curse. And Ronald, I want to believe that he was because that's a lot of like a lot of exorcisms to go through.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot to go through. I mean, to fake it for over a
For
month
that long?
and go through that many, that's a lot. That's a lot. But again, people will do things. Kids will do things for attention, dude. You just never know.
Seriously? Oh.
What do you guys think? Let us know. You guys got to let me know what you think. If you think that he was actually possessed, and if this is a curse and something definitely was going on that set. You guys got to let us know. I want to know what you guys think.
Yes, please let us know.
Yeah. Well, whether it's crime, conspiracy, or just straight up spooky, we're going to keep talking about it. Like, follow, comment, and stay tuned for new episodes each week because it'll just keep getting dark and spooky from here. So stay nosy and stay spooky, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.